What was your experience like in the refugee hostel?
In the refugee hostel, it was so difficult, Wally, because they literally gave us one room, like a family of five, and you have to live in one room. It was
That's
so
mad.
That's
difficult.
crazy.
And the food, um, the food was so bad. Like, we had to like rely on like fast food. They just used to like put tomato sauce and make like a weird curry kind of pasta, or like a tomato curry, and like boiled wet kind of rice. The food, I don't think the food was nutritious enough as well. I can't lie. um there was no internet there, which is crazy, like, so me and my dad, we used to walk to University of Birmingham to like use Wi-Fi and actually like send an application for certain stuff. So it was quite difficult. And obviously the social life was like, there was no social life.
Mm.
um it was weird and depressing, I can't lie. It
What
was
did
really
you
really
learn from the
depressing
experience?
of living in refugee
Yeah,
hostel.
like that whole period.
I realized that I need to be like actually be grateful in life. Like after that, like, the norm, like after I got out of refugee hostel and I started living in my house and my life started becoming back to like normal. Um, I forgot that I went through all of that, and I used to like complain about certain things in my life and be ungrateful, like little things. But then when I started thinking about it, the stuff I went through in that refugee hostel, my life is so much better than that now. So I think I shouldn't like forget the struggles, and I should actually be grateful for like how far I've come in life. So that's really important. And I think the importance of getting along with different kind of people, because in that refugee hostel there were people from all over the world. Some people came to UK hiding in like containers, hiding in boats, like sleeping. Some kids, they had to hold themselves from like peeing because they couldn't. They had like, it was so difficult. Like for
Mm.
some people, like I came to UK by plane, but some people, the experiences they had in that refugee hostel, the stories I heard were crazy.
Mm.
It was mad. And I heard about this there were lots of people from like war affected countries like Afghanistan, Syria, and all of that. And I heard about this program called Doctors Without Borders program. So there were doctors, they helped those people in the refugee camps, and they like told me how those doctors actually made a difference in their lives,
Mm.
which kind of also kind of motivated me to go through the medicine route, so I can like use my experience of being a refugee, but I can also be a doctor. And maybe in future, when I'm doctor after few years, I can like
Inshallah.
work in those camps. And I don't know if they get paid for it or not, like, but I actually don't care. Like, even if I don't
Mm.
get paid, I would just want to go and like provide my services and just help people out there, because I saw some kids actually had big traumas. They went through stuff in their home countries, and even traveling to UK through boats, hiding in containers, and not having enough food, like peeing, or like not having toilet. It was so difficult for some people. The
Yeah.
stories were crazy, horrible. Like,
Yeah.
people, sometimes lots of people say, oh, refugees are coming, taking our jobs, immigrants, all of that. But those people have no idea what some of these little kids and people have been through to just come to this country. They're not gonna just come here for fun and jokes. They actually have real issues, real struggles they go through that force them to like leave their home countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone like that? Because it's really relevant in the news at the moment. Like, there's a lot of people who are anti-immigration, who hate refugees, and like Suella Braverman and this current government were trying to deport a lot of refugees to Rwanda forcefully. So what would you say to people like that, to make them just understand the perspective of a refugee a bit more?
Wally, personally, I think some people just don't want to understand the perspective of refugees. I think they need to understand that these people left their home countries for a safe life. So forcing them into a different country, with less facilities, bad education system, bad food. Like, are you trying to say that refugees are people who you should be looking down at? Do they not deserve the same rights and same food and same kind of lifestyle? Just because they're refugees and their lives are at risk, you would send them to anywhere. Like, are they animals or are they objects? You will like ship them or transfer them anywhere. So I think they need to see them as humans, not as objects.
But what if they say that, oh, they've come here illegally, and that like puts our country in danger? It will take, the way they have entered the country isn't legitimate. What would you say to that?
Someone who is fighting to live. Why do you think they would have time or facilities to think of like legitimate reasons and like have facilities? Like imagine a war zone countries. Are you gonna go to a passport office, go make a passport, or get like a nice fancy airline ticket and then come to a country? People don't have those resources. People are like flying for their lives. Like people are running away. That is literally the legitimate proof that their lives are at risk. That they are coming, taking those illegal routes, putting their lives at risk in the oceans, in the seas, through those containers. Little kids. No one would want to do that for fun. They're actually at danger. That's why they just trying to get out somehow and trying to find refuge in you. And if you turn them down like that, like what kind of person you are? You need to think about that.
Yeah, like if they were in their positions, they would do the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just have to be a bit selfless, show a bit of empathy and a bit of gratitude as well for the position you're in. It is kind of understandable when you look at it from their position, like especially if you're ignorant, you would think like, why is my country, it can't afford to like keep the NHS waiting list short, it can't like take the homeless people off the streets, why are they now providing for these like people coming from a different country as well? But you've also got to consider your country was probably involved in bombing and destroying their countries, so now they've had to come
Yemen,
to Western countries,
Palestine, even Afghanistan in the Iraq war. Like Tony Blair.
Yeah, you destabilize these countries and then people are forced to come here and then you don't want them. But it's just unfair. Like, be a bit selfless.
Listen, no one's coming to your country illegally if they've got a good life somewhere else. Yeah. And they're not suffering from a war that, the warlords from these superpowers that have been involved in causing that suffering.
And the issue is it's always just the layman that suffers. Like even in these countries, a lot of these people who are anti-immigration, they're just normal people. Like you can understand their perspective, I'm not gonna lie, because they do suffer, but the people at the top, the elites, make them think that they're suffering because of the refugees and the immigrants, when they're actually suffering because of the people in the high up positions who are making 100%. The decisions in their country. Not because of this other guy who's struggling just like you are. Is that guy who has like 99.9% of the wealth. You need to try and take 1% of his wealth, not fight it out for the 0.1% with the other guy.
And you're paying a lot of tax, and if that's going to Ukraine in these wars and bombing Yemen, then like those people are your enemies. And it's those people who are telling you the immigrants are the problem when they're clearly not.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I've
noticed is very sad situation.
Lots of refugees, immigrants are really hardworking to make a life for themselves. Like lots of people, they can't even speak English. They come to UK, start from scratch. Imagine not knowing a language and coming to a whole new country. They learn English. They go to classes, courses, study, work hard, like do different jobs. Make a life for themselves. So why would they steal your job? They're literally like working hard for themselves. And those people who are like pointing out fingers at immigrants, they're not doing anything for themselves. They're probably like relying on benefits and not doing anything and just like sitting on the sofa and commenting on the immigrants taking their job. But those immigrants, they're working hard day and night to feed their families. So that is quite unfair.